a measure of your explosive power. That's what the second event in the Army's new combat fitness test is attempting to do. And you have an understanding of what explosive power actually is and how to correctly and properly train for it inside of your own programming. That can be the difference between you barely passing this event and you being able to toss that 10-pound ball 12 plus meters downrange on your test day. My name is Benjamin Morris. I'm a tactical strength and conditioning facilitator, a military master fitness trainer. Preceding my name anywhere I go is the title Pacific Fest Warrior. In this two-part series, we're going to be providing you some training tips to set you up with a high level of preparedness for the standing power toss. In the first part of it, we're going to be going over what explosive power actually is, how we generate it, and where it comes from. What are some things that you can be doing at home to set yourself up so that way you're ready on your test day. And on the second part of this video, we're going to be going over how to actually get that power to your in-range of motion. We're also going to be covering why sometimes this exercise is referred to as a physical therapist test and what that tells us about it and what information we can gain from it. So to lead off with, the standing power toss has actually been around for quite a while. It used to be referred to as the BOM, the backwards overhead medicine ball, and it's been used as an assessment tool for a very long time. The great thing about it is it's what we refer to as a triple extension exercise, to where as you perform this, you're going to have to go through full extension of your hip, your knee, and your ankle. And you're going to have to take all that generated force from those muscles, those really large muscles, and your upper body is going to have to be able to control all that force and generate it out to your end-range of motion of your hands. And this brings us out to the definition of what explosive power actually is. Explosive power is the ability for you to utilize all the power that you actually have. So this not only applies to your ability to actually exert that power at the end range of motion, but also to be able to absorb force at your end range of motion. And that's why this is such a good assessment for people who are of combat professions. So how do we set ourselves up? What do we need to be doing at home right now, especially in this COVID environment, to ensure that we're ready for it? What we're actually going to be talking about is what's referred to as plyometric training. And now, while it may be some 80s trendy thing that you're all used to, it's actually been around for quite a while, and there's one certain term that we're going to be utilizing a lot, and we want to make sure that you understand this and that you capture this inside of your programming. And that is what's referred to as a stretch shortening cycle, because this is how power is actually generated. We generate our most force. You can jump your highest whenever you fully stretch out those muscles and then you, in a rapid manner, shorten those muscles. This is how the human body is built. This elastic recoil, this elastic rebounding recoil. This is how we're built to be able to exert our most force. And whenever you look at the standing power toss, all you have to do is grab the ball and throw it behind you. So there's not a lot of build-up, a lot of preparation for it. It's not a very much of an endurance event. It's how much power can you actually exert through this? So how much elastic recoil can you actually produce through these muscles and have them be able to shorten in a rapid manner to get that force out to your end range of motion? The stretch shortening cycle is what we want to stay with inside of this training program. Now, there is a fallacy that exists a lot of times about plyometrics that for some reason we want to do what's referred to as consistent plyometric training. While this does serve a purpose and it does have its own needs, we much rather have you nowhere in plyometric training until you become an expert at it do you need to be training to failure. Plyometrics is about mastery. It's about being able to take your body through its full range of motion and exert the maximum amount of force through its full range of motion. It's about gaining proprioception of where your body's at in space and being able to use those joints fully to be able to generate as much force as possible. So it's very easy for us to have a lot of training exercises for this at home. And if you want to do that, all you need is some good type of step-up box. You see these quite a bit in gyms. And if you look around your house, there's a good chance that you can find something that you can utilize to do this. If you are finding something that was not designed for the purpose of being in that legit step-up box, the general recommendation that we make to people whenever we do virtual trainings or anything like that is you want to find something that you feel comfortable putting 3 times your own body weight on. Meaning that if you weigh 200 pounds, you find something that you feel comfortable being able to put 600 pounds worth of weight upon, because you are going to be exerting a lot of force on this. It does need to be very stable. You're going to be jumping up and landing on it, and you're going to be jumping off of it. So you do need to make sure that it's a very stable and well-constructed object that you found that you're going to be utilizing. You do want it to be roughly about knee level whenever you're standing straight up. That's what you're looking for. That's why you'll see a lot of these boxes are not actually perfectly cubed off or squared. They actually are a little bit oblong, so that way you can rotate them over and find different places to be able to different height. As we go through how to actually perform a lot of these exercises, remember stretch shortening cycle. We're looking to stretch out a muscle as much as possible. We're looking to, in a rapid manner, shorten that muscle and then we're going to stop and reset and do again. And the first exercise that we're going to be going over is just a simple box jump, to where you're going to have the box set directly in front of you, and you're going to be able, standing flat-footed, you're going to squat down, and you can go ahead and swing your arms behind you, and then you're going to jump up into the air and land with both feet on the box. Once both feet are on the box, you're going to stand straight up as if you're at the position of attention. So knees and hips are fully extended. After that, you're going to step off the box and go around, and we're going to do it again. So now that we know that, let's go over what the stretch shortening cycle actually is. Whenever we squatted down in order to generate the force to jump up on the box, there were numerous muscles and joints in our lower body that those muscles had to start to stretch and lengthen out. As we squatted down in that natural manner and we began to bring our arms forward to generate a little bit of force, as those muscles that were fully stretched, as they started to shorten and gain more and more speed at their shortening pace, they generated more and more force, and that force is what propelled us up off the ground. That force that we were generating through our feet, through our ankles and our knees and our hips, and those muscles that are attached to them, that force is what provided us the ability to get up into the air and to be able to land on that box. And that's also why it's very important that we go through the full stretch shortening cycle. So even after we've landed on the box and we may not have our knees and hips fully extended, we go through the point to where we've once again fully extended our knees and hips, and then we step back down off the box. Remember, this is not a consistent movement to where you're trying to get as many steps in as you can in 30 seconds. Not the point. We're trying to, in a very well-controlled manner, jump flat-footed from the ground and be able to jump up on a box and land and have our heels down, catch on the box, and be able to stand straight up. And then we're going to turn around and repeat. The other starting movement that we like to utilize to help people learn how to do plyometric training is what's referred to as a box drop. To where once we're up on the box, we're going to be taking and we're going to be stepping off, leading with either our left or right foot, and we're going to alternate as we do repetitions. And as we do, when we land on the ground, we're going to allow ourselves to squat down into the position to where we jumped from earlier. We're just going to try to stop and hold our weight there, and you're just trying to drop, let those muscles fully lengthen back out, all the way back into that the squat position that we were just out. Stand up, fully reset, step up on the box, and do it again. So you're just practice doing these two very simple maneuvers, and what this is doing is just teaching your body how to correctly and properly go through the stretch shortening cycle. This is not meant to truly be an exercise. This is meant to be something of a school lesson training of how to go through that stretch shortening cycle, what plyometrics actually are. Once we have a good understanding of that, now we can begin to add a little bit more complexity. We can do what's referred to as a power step up, sometimes referred to as an explosive step up, to where we'll be standing with our knees facing the box, right? And we'll place one foot, this will be our plant leg, firmly up on the box, all the way to the point where our big toe and heel is firmly in place. This is the plant leg, and once it's there, we're going to stand up and allow our action leg, the opposite leg of our plant leg, to hang freely from the box. Once we're up to that point to where our knee and hip is good and fully extended, this is actually the starting position. Once we're at the starting position, we're ready to go, we're going to, in a controlled manner, lower our body down until that action leg touches the ground. Once the action leg touches the ground, we're then going to, in an explosive manner, return back up to the starting position. Once we reach the starting position, we're going to stop and control and reset. Stretch shortening cycle. Remember, that's what we're looking for. We're going to drop that action leg down. Once it touches, explosive movement back up until we're able to stop and control and reset. Now, whenever we do program this out to people, we like to split out the intervals in which we're doing. And a lot of times we'll say you're going to do 20 reps of explosive step-ups, meaning that you'll do 5 on one foot, then 5 on the next foot, and then 5 on one foot, and then 5 on the next foot. So that way you're not developing a lean to either side, right? We want to make sure that both sides are kind of consistently getting some movement involved into them. Now that we have this exercise down, now we can actually start to add into what's referred to as a box drop double jump. Okay, to where we're going to step up off the box, once again leading with either our left or right, and we're going to drop down into that full squat position. To lead off with, the first few times you do it, you're just going to be taking a baby hop with it. So as you go through and you go down to that full squat position, you're just going to be hopping up off the ground. You're going to just try to go to that good triple extension of your knees, your hips, and your ankles. Step back up on the box again, drop off, squat all the way down, just go for that easy triple extension. As you become more and more familiar with it, we can start to add a bigger and bigger jump to the end. So you're stepping off, squatting down, and then you're going to try to reach up as high as you can. Swing both arms up, get as high up as you can to where you've really caused max stretch shortening cycle to occur throughout those joints and the muscles associated with your ankles, knees, and hips. This is actually going to start to encourage a lot of power building inside of it. So we built power on our first one whenever we're training what's referred to as the eccentric side of it, to where we're controlling our descent down. And this is where we're building the concentric, to where we're actually training that shortening side of it. One point on the box drop double jump is that all of this should feel as if it's a natural movement. Do not be trying to stop and hold yourself down at the bottom. You're actually going to limit the amount of which you can jump up into the air whenever you do that. Let it be a naturally reoccurring movement. Remember, we're trying to take advantage of the elastic recoil inside of a lot of our body, to where we've squatted down and then we've just hopped back up. What we don't want to do is just be stopping down there and waiting and trying to hold, thinking that's causing some type of extra burnout. Right? That's not the point of it. That's not what we're going for. We're trying to fully stretch out and then fully shorten and jump up. So now that we've mastered these two exercises, at this point, that's whenever you can start to add the first two together, to where you would jump up on a box and then go over to the end and then stop, drop out, and then drop on it and go down to the squat position. That's where we'd start to actually incorporate those two. But other than that, everything's been done very individual, right? Nothing's actually been put together. As you do start to work a few of those ones in together over time, now we could take away the box and we can add a few more jumping and bounding exercises. Even as we add these, they're going to be still very, very short, and nothing will be over 3 jumps. Everything will be nice and short. The first one that we're going to be doing is what's referred to as just a squat jump, right? To where we're standing flat-footed, nothing in front of us, nothing over top. We're just going to squat down as far as we can, swinging our arms, and then we're going to jump up in the air as high as we can. And then as we come back down, we're going to go back down to the squat position that we just left from. Not hopping again. Once we fully absorb the impact of us landing, we're going to stop and go all the way back up to that starting position, to where our knees and hips are good and well extended. Once we've got this, we can now add a little bit more complication to it, to where we can do what's referred to as a baby hop with it. To where standing flat-footed, you're just going to take a little quarter bend in your knees and hips. You're going to take a little hop off the ground to where your feet just leave the ground. After they do, you're going to use that momentum of you coming back down and allow it to take you all the way down into the squat position. Once there, you're going to explosively go up as high as you can. Whenever you land, you return back down to the squat position, to where you've fully absorbed the impact, and you've returned to where your knees and hips are fully extended, and stop and reset. Remember, stretch, shorten, reset. So that's a good way to add a little bit more complexity to it, add just a little bit more work into it, where you're just taking a baby hop and then you're going through the full thing. Next, we can do what's referred to as a forward bound. Now, this does start to show up in some military manuals, and there's variations that we're going to teach here that also show up in Navy and Marine manuals. So to start with, we're just doing a forward jump, and we need roughly about 16 feet of room directly in front of us. That's what we're looking for. Usually, we like to recommend that people only start off with 2 bounds before they start moving into the third one. But all you're going to be doing is similar to the squat jump, to where you're squatting down and then you're jumping up. This time you're going to jump forward at a 45-degree angle and try to jump forward, and then once again squat, absorb all the force and impact, and in a natural movement, jump forward one more time. This is what we refer to as the double jump, right, or double bound. And after you feel good and comfortable with it, and you've gained mastery of it, then you can start adding the third. In no manual that we teach, or that any military manual I've ever seen, do they actually start adding more than the 4th bound out to it. But we can add a little bit more escalation to it whenever we start doing single leg bounds. This is something else that sometimes shows up in military manuals. To where we will go down through the squat position and we'll take our first bound, and we'll decide before our feet leave the ground whether we're going to our left or our right. As we go to our left, we'll land with only our left foot, keeping our right leg off the ground, and have our left foot fully absorb the impact and all the force of us landing, and then we'll have it bound over to our right. The right leg will absorb all the force and impact of it, and then once it's had all the recoil, it will bound over to the left. At this point, this is where we'll stop. After it absorbs that force, we'll go back up to the starting position, and then we'll stop and reset and go all the way through again. So these are the exercises that can leave you set up with that high level of preparedness for the Army Combat Fitness Test, the standing power toss, or if you're a combat professional and you're just trying to make sure that you're ready and able for any deployments when and if they occur, these are the exercises that can leave you with that high level of preparedness for that as well. My name is Benjamin Morris, and here at Outtrained, we do training programs for people whose lives depend on their body's ability to perform. And if that's you, please contact us. Please hit the subscribe button. It really helps us out a lot. Check out some of our past content. There's some good knowledge inside of there for you. Remember that pressure is a privilege, and thank you very much for your time, and out.